Hey, what's going on, guys? I got a special guest here today. We're welcoming you guys to the #ClockedIn podcast, where we dive into raw stories of resilience, reinvention, and relentless growth. Today's guest went from Ivy League to prison to building a seven-figure business with purpose. This isn't just inspiration, it's a wake-up call. I want to welcome Ken Miller, and we're so excited to have you on the #ClockedIn podcast. So,
Thank you,
Ken,
Jordan.
for you, what led to this downfall, some would say, and then what was the wake up call? Because I feel like it's up down up down. It's very challenging.
Yeah, it's there's been some ups and downs throughout life, and my story is probably a little bit unique, but it's one that people can still resonate with. So very simply, I was born in 1962. I'm 62 years old now. My mother was a white teenage runaway prostitute and fell in with my father, who was a drug dealer and a pimp in New York.
Oh
And
wow.
so she got pregnant, I think, at age 17 and put me up for adoption at birth.
Oh
I did
wow.
6 years of foster homes, and that a lot of who I am is about my foster home period. I was adopted at age 6 by Irene and Sam Miller. I was living in upstate New York. Then at age 12, moved to Anchorage. I was what you would call precocious, in that I was academically and intellectually, I did very, very well. I was
Yeah.
a National Merit Scholar by the age of 17. I was accepted to Harvard. I went to Dartmouth College, Ivy League, got my degree, graduated in 1984. But unfortunately, I graduated with a degree in fraternity with a minor in drinking. So I got out, truth,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Got out, but I did go into the corporate world, got sober for the first time, went into the corporate world. And then after about 2 or 3 years, I relapsed and I was going to end up spending the next 20 years in on the streets and what I call on the streets. It's so funny when you said raw. I said, yeah, that's my story. It's raw. And so
Uh,
I spent 20 years on the streets. I'm a three-time convicted felon. I've been to prison three different times. But today I'm a very successful businessman. I'm a mentor. I'm a husband. I'm a grandfather. And I'm just an all-around nice guy.
I could say that too. Ken's been nothing but awesome. We did a pre-call and he's amazing. But getting so for you, I really want to dive into this. So you're going to Dartmouth.
Mhm.
Are you feeling like over the moon at this point? Like you feel excited and you've like made it and you're sufficient, or it's just not? It
No,
was.
I had, this is my thinking at the age of 17. I had like 160 colleges, wanted me to apply to
Oh
their
wow.
colleges. This is 1979. And, because I was an athlete, I was intellectual, I'm black, I'm from Alaska. I fit a lot of boxes that they can use. And so I only applied to three colleges. I applied to Oberlin, Dartmouth, and Harvard.
Oh wow.
My mother had gone to Columbia's Teachers College to get her master's. So I came from this is my adoptive mother.
Yeah.
So when it came time to choose a college, because I got into all three of them, she very simply said, "Which one do you want to go to?" And I said, "Oberlin." She said, "That's great. What is your first choice?" And so it was going to either be Dartmouth or Harvard. And I hated cities, hated cities. So I said, I'll go to Dartmouth. Had never been there, never seen it, other than a brochure.
All of these were just so because Alaska's so far away. All of these were just
Yeah,
guesses.
yeah, yeah. But I had a reason why I don't want to go into this too much, but I had a reason why I didn't want to go to the other Ivy League school.
Yeah.
Yale's in the city, Brown's in the city. Cornell, I didn't count as an Ivy.
Yeah.
Columbia's in the city, even though my mom went there for her master's. Princeton was in New Jersey. I'm from
Yeah.
New York. I hate New Jersey. So I couldn't go to this is 17-year-old thinking,
Yeah. The
that great
rational.
maturity. Yeah. So it really came down to Dartmouth, and a lot of Alaskans went to Dartmouth because, it's out in the woods. They had a great ski team.
Very naturey. Like you
Yeah.
kind of get
And it,
both
it,
the
it was
similar.
by far the closest, and we probably had more. And they have a great program for Native Americans because Dartmouth was founded for Native Americans. A lot of people
Oh,
don't know that.
really?
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. It was seven Native Americans in 1769.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So,
So it's always had a real strong Native American presence there. And so a lot of Alaska Natives have gone there also.
oh, that's awesome. And then
Yeah.
you end up graduating.
Yeah.
You do the normal corporate
Hmm.
role. And then what ended up happening? Because it seems like people are this, a lot of this seems to be happening today.
So
And
what
that's why I think it's
happened
so
was,
important.
yeah. So what happened was, for me, I came out of Dartmouth as a full-blown alcoholic. And
Oh,
so what does
wow.
that mean? That means I had the inability, still to this day, have the inability to control how much I drink once I start. I may go
Okay.
into saying I just want 2 beers, but 20 beers later, I've drunk and I'm making really bad decisions. So I knew that. My mom knew that. And so my graduation present, I thought I was going to get a car. I didn't get a car. I got my first treatment center. And I went
Really?
to a place called North Point in Anchorage, Alaska, and outpatient. And I was to remain sober for the next 2.5 years.
And
And then, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think it's important. I think it's
Mhm.
important to bring this up is because a lot of people associate college drinking with, oh, it's fine.
Oh,
It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's just college. They're having fun. And then you start to see people graduate and they're still having those similar habits and they still go, it's fun. It's fine. It's 1 year out. It's not a big deal. So at least your mom had this wherewithal to go, hey, this is really important and this needs to be a real focus.
mhm. Yeah,
But
Dartmouth didn't make me an alcoholic. I just want to make sure everybody hears that. My fraternity, which was called Bonesgate, did not make me an alcoholic. What it allowed is those to identify, because you see the behavior and the drinking pattern, those who are either heavy drinkers or alcoholics, okay?
yes. And it
And
becomes,
or binge drinkers or one-time drinker, and you still have a problem. You can get drunk one time and get a DUI. You can get drunk one time and wake up with someone you do not want to be waking up with. I mean, that
yeah,
doesn't, it doesn't matter whether you're alcoholic. I just do it a lot more often than, because I'm alcoholic. I can't control it. And I drank all the time. I mean, I drank
yeah, and it's
every
this
day.
culture. Yeah, and it's this cultural thing that a lot of us don't realize that the people around us affect us. So when we get around different people, we're going to act differently, and that's why it's important to have a strong circle that
Mhm.
supports you in a positive way.
Well, especially in sobriety.
Yeah,
Again,
absolutely.
what the fraternity allowed me was individuals that were like me, in their drinking patterns, people that would co-sign on my bad behavior, and made it less painful than being in another environment if I drank to the extent I drank. If I was in the military, if I was in the corporate world, and it did, I've lost jobs, I've lost relationships due to my drinking because those people could not continue to put up with that.
Yeah.
So, I get out, I get cleaned up, I relapse because I'm 23, 24. I was at that time working for Kodak, and I didn't think I was an alcoholic.
Oh,
Because
you
I
still,
said,
even after going, you
yeah,
were just
yeah, because
every.
I thought that was due to the environment,
Yeah,
how I felt in college. I had a lot of difficulties emotionally
yeah,
in college, okay? And so when I got out and I'm wearing Hickey Freeman suits and Allen Edmonds wingtip shoes and
yeah,
silk ties and making 50,000, which was a lot of money in 85.
yeah.
I'm thinking this is what the alcoholic wants. I want to drink without pain on the back end. I can't.
Okay.
There's no way I can drink without pain on the back end of my drink.
Yes.
So, but at that time, I'm 23. I'd only drank for 3 years in college, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
I've been sober now 2.5 years. Maybe I can drink like a normal person.
Yeah.
And I drank my first drink in Hawaii on vacation, a blue Hawaiian, never forget it. And within 2 days, I'm a mess, a mess.
Really.
2 days. because I
Wow.
can't. I don't have a turn off switch. I don't. And the same thing
Yeah.
with drugs. I did not have a turn off switch. So,
So as soon as it starts, it goes and goes and goes. And it's this awareness that we need to, I think the biggest thing for everyone listening is to realize like if you're trying to get over something, it's what Ken said right there. It's associating it to negative things, where it's you sitting there going at the very end and going, hey, there's no good outcome of me doing this activity. And people need to realize that because most of the time when you ask them, oh, what do you like drinking or what, like, is it, what do you think of when someone says drinking? They're like, fun. Okay. If you say fun, you're going to have a very different outcome than if you think bad experience. Like, these are very different outcomes. And that's what causes people to jump in or jump out.
yeah, and it's a lot of individuals that are probably, listen to this show, probably from the business world or
Absolutely.
successful. One thing to hear this, what I had to learn is I, I had to learn what questions am I asking for my desired result. And this is in business, this is in life. And the question I had been asking is, why am I an alcoholic? Why am I an alcoholic? And I kept looking for antecedents to my alcoholism.
Yeah.
There's reasons because of the foster, because I was beat as a child, because my dad shot my mom 6 times. I'm thinking these are the reasons why I'm an alcoholic. No, no, I'm an alcoholic. I was born an alcoholic. 100%. That's my truth. And it didn't matter because the problem is when you think it's antecedents and or environment, I'll change the environment and I'll change the way I look at the antecedents. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go to I'll go to counseling or treatment or whatever, and I'll look at the antecedents differently, the
Yeah.
preceding, precursors or
Yeah.
feelings. And then once I do that, then I can drink like a normie. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter where I'm at, who I'm with, why I'm doing it. I can't control the amount once I
Yeah.
start. So again, I go back, I relapse in 80, 86, 87, get out in 84, I'm sober for about 2 years. I relapse, and literally within about a year, I'm homeless. As an Ivy League
Really?
graduate, I am homeless. And so, what does
Wow.
homeless mean? There's different levels of homelessness, and I'm at like literally the bottom level of homelessness. I'm in the missions. I'm in the missions and I'm in Peniel Mission, Union Gospel Mission, Bread of Life Mission, downtown, service center. And this is all in
Yeah.
Seattle. And so I am a homeless black 24, 25-year-old. And then I get introduced to crack.
So you're
And
going to all these different missions
mhm,
in the to basically survive.
well, yeah, get out
Uh,
of the rain. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
have
of
a roof
course.
over my head because
Yeah.
people say they get a bed. You don't, there ain't no such thing as a bed. I told somebody happiness is not sleeping on a mat. I slept on mats for like 20 years because in prison you have mats,
Yeah.
in jail you have mats, and in the missions you have a mat, which is, 3 to 4 inches of foam that
Yeah.
you sleep on. And and it's, to me that it just represents something. I sleep on a $1,000 bed, okay?
Yeah.
Size, vibrates, it reclines, does all this stuff. And there's times I will lie on my bed and I'll just kick my legs, because I'm so happy and so grateful for the life I have today, just like a
That,
child.
that perspective is so
Mhm.
powerful. No, it really is because people when you don't have to go through Ken's experience to
Mhm.
have that gratitude. You can sit there and when you lie your head on your bed tonight, be super grateful that you're like, "Oh my God, I have a bed. Oh my
Be,
God, I have
be,
these things."
be super grateful. So this is the deal. I get to tell you the stories, or the stories are in the book, but I get to tell you the stories. You don't have to live them, okay?
Yes.
Because my stories are not pretty. They're not fun. Remember, you said raw. My
Yeah.
story is raw. But then we're also going to talk about where I am today and how I got there. So let me just continue on that little quick 20 years.
Absolutely.
I begin, and you start here and then you work your way down. That
Okay.
wasn't my bottom, first time I went to jail or the first time I did treatment. I've done 14 inpatient treatment centers. 14.
Wow.
Okay. So I'm starting to do the treatment in treatment centers, but now I'm on the streets. The problem with being on the streets is that I can't work. I can't keep a job,
Oh,
but I
really?
need income to pay for my addiction. So what do you
Yeah.
do? So I got into situations where I was a pimp. I got into situations where I was an armed robber.
Oh my
I've
God.
done a kidnapping. I have been a male prostitute. I have been an individual that I mug people. I'm a convicted burglar and I'm a convicted drug dealer. So you can see those are the things that I did. And you could say under the influence of alcohol, but sometimes, most of the time, you do crimes in pursuit of money to do drugs. It's
Yes.
not when you're on the drug, I want to enjoy the drug.
Yeah.
I'm not out there committing crimes when I'm high.
Yeah.
Um, committing crimes when I come down.
Yeah.
And so I was a menace. And so I was sentenced on 3 different occasions to prison. I spent years behind bars.
Yeah.
And on the last time I was convicted, I was uh, I was assured the next time I came into the courtroom that I was going to get the habitual criminal statute, which would have been a minimum of 25 to life.
Oh, wow.
That's if I stole $51. It's
Yeah.
like striking out, but this is the state of Nevada.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm a 3-time convicted felon already. This would have been my fourth.
There's no
And the
word. Yeah.
judge he's like, Mr. Miller, that's what they call it, Mr. Miller. They didn't call me Ken. Mr. Miller, if you come in my courtroom one more time, I'm giving you the habitual criminal statute. He was so angry at me, not the severity of my offenses, but here I am, an Ivy League educated, grew up in a good family, quote unquote,
Yeah.
had a good life
Yeah.
and had done well and was a contributing member of society like I am today. And I threw that all away to remain in this addiction. Okay?
And and how did you feel at that time? Like just going through all of these in, out. Like, it must have been so unstable,
Self-hatred,
challenging. What?
self-hatred, self-hatred, very low self-esteem. So what happens is that what the worst thing you can lose is not even your self-respect, it's to lose hope. Because
Yes.
hope is a picture of a better future.
Yes.
But if you're in pain, and my life was pain, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm in pain. I'm talking about emotional pain.
Yeah.
If you're in physical pain, if you're in pain today, you were in pain the day before, and all you see in the near future, let alone the far future, but the addict doesn't think about the far future. He doesn't.
Oh,
His
really?
time horizon is very short. All you're thinking about is that all I'm going to do is wake up to more pain.
Yeah.
And I would wake up or come to in the morning and I'm like, darn, that's not the word I use, but darn, I'm me
Yeah.
and I hate me. And so I've done things, I've self-harmed, I've tried to commit suicide, and because I've lost hope.
Yeah.
When you lose hope, because all I am is doomed to pain.
So what's the way to keep hope? And what's the way to like create hope? Because I feel like there's probably people listening right now who might be in a similar state. They might not be gone to prison and all those things, but they would sit there sometimes like they might be in the same job for a long time and they're like, am I ever gonna make it out? Like, am I ever gonna do the because we have a lot of mental there's been a couple different podcasts where people have brought up
Mhm.
the concept of like a mental prison where it's like you're in this job for a long time and you don't know if you like the job or not and you want to figure out like what you're gonna do with your life. So I'm saying that pursuit of hope I think is not just for anybody, it's for everybody. I think we're all interested in the pursuit.
Okay, and
So for
say the
you,
question one
how
more
do
time. Yeah.
yeah, so for you, how did you find hope? Like how do you think about hope on a regular basis and like how do you keep that hope alive? Because it sounds like at that point you had very low hope and you're like to get out of that you need to create hope. So how did you kind of think about that in your
So the fundamental, the fundamental to all of this is one word: pain. That's the fundamental. It's pain.
yeah,
Now, then we put these coatings around it We can call it shame. We can call it guilt. We can call it, self-hatred, whatever. But and underneath it is pain. And the fundamental feeling is fear.
Yeah.
Fear is just the future anticipation or expectation of pain. That's all fear is. It's what you do is you anticipate or expect pain in the near future or far future. And that's fear. Okay. My life was run with fear. Now, how it manifested itself was anger. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how it manifested itself with anger at self and others. Okay. So I'd wake up in fear. And what does that have to do with hope? Because you have so much fear, you have no hope. It's the antithesis of hope in a lot of ways is fear. Because
Wow.
hope says I have the possibility of not having pain tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have, I have like no fear. I literally have no fear
Yeah.
in my life. Or let's put it this way. I put everything on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And if I have a fear, it might hit a 1, might hit a 2. But when you live in a 9, whether you're in a bad relationship, whether you're in a situation on the streets or in the penitentiary, or
Yeah.
you have a situation, in the corporate world or in the boardroom where you have a tremendous amount of fear that's up at the 9. But usually it gets up to a 9, 8 or 9, 10, you're dead. 9, you're in this abject fear. But it's only fleeting.
Yes.
I'm going to deal with it in the boardroom, or I'm going to go in there and talk to my boss. He's going to fire me or not fire me, whatever. Or I have fear because I need to talk to this employee and I need to let that employee go. Okay. Because I anticipate it's going to be some pain involved
Yeah.
emotionally for me. He's been a good employee, but he hasn't shown up. This is his third no-show. Okay, great. We deal with that. The difficulty is when you live in that daily, and I mean daily. So there is a well-known story in my book, and I've talked about it numerous times, but it's the pivot moment.
Yeah.
And what happened was on September 22nd, 2004, I woke up with the mustard seed of hope. That's all I had. And the truth is in the book, but the truth is I called my mother, and if my mother was not going to help me, I was going to kill myself. Period. End of story.
Really?
Done. Yeah, because I'd already tried it once before.
Oh, wow.
Well, twice before. And this time, anyway, it's gonna be over. Because I had died. I mean, I was dying physically,
Mental. Yeah.
emotionally, spiritually, and when the spirit goes, it's gone. The flame
Yeah.
goes out. But I had this little iota. So I called her up. She said, yes, Kenneth, I'll get you a ticket to back to Seattle so you can go into this free treatment at the mission. I'm like, great. I have no money. All I possess in my world is a pair of sneakers, no socks, pair of shorts, no underwear, and a t-shirt. That's it. Those are my
Oh,
sole
wow.
possessions in life. My jaw's broken because I've been broken twice that summer, and it's wired shut.
Oh, my
I have
God.
scabs all over my face from peeing at my face. I have blisters on every finger of my hands from lighting lighters to smoke crack. My nose hairs are burned out because the crack pipes are so small. My lips are all blistered from hot crack pipes.
Yeah.
And this is your Dartmouth grad,
Oh, my God.
2004. So I get up and I go out to hustle. And when I mean hustle, I was a drug runner. So I would run drugs between a person looking for drugs and a person who's selling drugs.
Yes.
So they don't have to have the heat if the police come. Anyway, so I do a transaction. I get paid with a rock. One of the 2 times in my 20 years of smoking crack cocaine, I did not smoke it because
Yeah.
I said I'll sell it and then I'll have some money for the bus because I have hope. I can go to
Yes.
treatment. My mom just said, be at the bus station. The ticket will be there. because I was not allowed in her home because I had burglarized her home.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
And I go out there to sell a $10 rock of crack cocaine and I sell it to the undercover. And this is the part I really want you
No.
to hear. They arrest me and we're waiting for the paddy wagon. They have literally a paddy wagon. And handcuffed, behind the back.
Yeah.
Anybody who gets handcuffed in front, that's in the movies. You never get I've been handcuffed like 30 times. You never get handcuffed up front. You're always in the back. But anyway, I'm leaning forward because you gotta lean forward, could you? And I am crying profusely, but I'm smiling. And the cop is worried because we're waiting for the paddy wagon. And what they did is everybody they pulled off the streets were in this like holding area until the paddy wagon can take us to jail. And he's like, "Are
Yeah.
you okay? You all right?" Because he sees all these tears, thinks I'm
Yeah.
hurt or something. And I said, "Yeah, I'm all right." And he's, "What? Why are you crying?" And I told him, "Because I'm going to live. Because I'm going to live. Because I can do prison. I've been to prison twice. I get my little, Lipton on. I play
Yeah.
pinochle. I do my sports.
Oh my
I'm going to
God.
live." So I'm smiling and I'm crying tears of relief.
Yes.
I have literally walked into the police station as an addict and asked them to arrest me. I know there's a warrant out. There was always a warrant out for my arrest. I'm the guy. Can you please arrest me? Because I'm going to die out there. Either like
Out there was scarier than the actual jail.
oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah.
Really?
People were looking for me. You
Oh,
know,
because you got yourself. Oh, because of all the
all the
challenging things and the bad
yeah,
things. Yeah.
this is stuff you do. I'd steal from drug
Yeah.
dealers. That's not smart.
Yeah.
I'd rip off people for, transactions, you know. So anyway, people would be looking for me, and but I can handle myself in prison. I
Yeah.
know how that works. So anyway, so the key thing is I'm relieved. I have hope now. And that 2004, I've been sober ever since September 22nd,
Wow.
2004, coming up on 21 years. And
Congratulations.
so, and this is important. So, and I go to prison, and I said to myself these exact words. I said, if I am the same person coming out of prison, because I knew I was going to do a few years, as I am going in, I'm going to have the same results. And I said, I need to work on the mental, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. And I worked on, and I mean worked on
Yeah.
one of them.
I love it. It's so important because you start to realize that you're in control of everything. You're in control of your life when you start to take inventory of where you're at mentally, where you're at physically, community service wise, philanthropy, spirituality, and relationships. Like those are the five pillars of Edwards Consulting, and it's so important for us to realize that once you start taking inventory and you're seeing what works. So like what I think would be kind of interesting right now would be like mentally, where were you at that time? And then when you left, what was the major differences? Like what were the big takeaways mentally? And then we'll go to physical health, community
Okay,
service.
so
Yeah.
and I think we might be mixing up a little bit, and
Yeah.
I'll explain why, or at least how I define it. That's one
Yeah,
of the
of
things I do a
course.
lot. I do a lot of mentoring, and we're
Yeah,
always talking about definitions. Let's
of
define them.
course.
So mental is intellectual.
Yes.
Emotional is emotional.
Yeah.
So when I say I need to work on myself mentally, I mean intellectually. My
Yeah.
brain had atrophied, literally the use. My vocabulary was about 100 words, of which probably 20% were profanity. Okay, that's my vocabulary on the streets. We do not
Wow.
have to talk about antithesis and antipodes. Okay, we don't. We don't. Okay.
Yeah.
So I started reading, and I ended up reading one year over 100 books. And I
Wow.
predominantly read nonfiction. So I started writing every single book I've read since the day I went down in 2004. And just last year, I just did my 1,000th book, 1,000 books,
Wow.
of which 99% are nonfiction. That's what I'm a nonfiction guy. Okay.
Wow.
So, but in prison, I had to do some fiction. So a lot of Dean Koontz, because I did, but I read. And then
Yes.
I did a lot of writing because I don't even want to call it a hustle. What I did is I wrote letters for illiterate Black men. That's what I did. That was one of the things that I
In
did.
prison?
Yeah, there's a lot of
Oh,
illiterate, especially older Black men. They can't read or write. And that's one
really?
of the reasons why they're in prison. Okay.
Yeah.
And they wanted to, talk, write to their pastor, their girlfriend, their wives. And they knew that, I'd gone to college and everything. So I would write their letters. They would just talk to me, I'd write it out for them. Okay.
It's beautiful.
So and it was. And I did a lot of them for free. And then other ones,
Because
they pay in stamps. Okay.
there's a lot of that. 'Cause the reason I say that is
Yeah.
that you can find community service wherever. You
Yeah.
can find the ability to get back to someone at any point. And for someone to be in prison, most of the time, like for me, who I've never been to prison, so I sit there and I think, oh my God, it's a scary place. Everyone's so mean. Everything's this. But you can still find ways to get back to people.
First of all, everybody's not mean, number one.
Yeah.
So prison, and it also depends on what prison you're in. I'm not going to go into, because I can go into a long discourse on prison. But prison is, based on levels, and you'll go anywhere from
Yeah, of
king,
course.
minimum, medium, max, super max. But the key thing is is learning the rules of prison.
Yeah.
So it's a community, and there's rules in the boardroom. There's rules in the corporate world. There's rules in the coaching world. There's rules in the speaking world. But there's rules, and if you play by the rules, you'll probably do all right. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So that's number, and 90% of the guys, yeah, maybe not that high. 85% of them are just, got caught up. Remember, a lot of them are alcoholics and drug addicts, and got caught up in it. They're all right guys. I mean, a lot of good. I mean, some of the best guys I've ever met.
Yeah.
But again, we're not under the influence of the drugs. I've met
So,
some wonderful guys in prison who are dead now because they got out and went back to the life.
oh
But in
wow.
prison, they're great. I lost, I was down for almost 3 years. I lost 23 people dead in that time that I knew from the streets or in the penitentiary. 23
Wow.
dead. I got them written down in one of my journals.
Wow.
But that, again, that's the byproduct. For a lot of them, death was a relief. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why, the suicide, some committed suicide, but most died from their addiction or alcoholism or were killed.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go from there. Now, so we talked about the intellectual,
Yeah.
I call that the mental. The key one for me, or one of the keys, was the emotional.
Yeah.
The physical was going to come back. I lift weights. That's what I do. I play sports, did very well
Yeah.
doing that. But the key for me was the emotional. Because what I did, one of my difficulties in how I had a relationship with self, I love to use the word relationship. And what I always used to tell people, I used to have an adversarial relationship with self.
Yeah.
I literally would fight me. I hated me. And one of the reasons is because I was shame based.
Yes.
And what that means is because of some of my behavior on the streets, predominantly the prostitution, I was shame based. I am less than. Because on the streets, it's pretty much the lowest thing you can do is
Yeah.
be a male prostitute or to turn tricks to feed your addiction. And I'm out there doing that regularly.
Yeah.
and and so when I came in, that was my secret. And there were people that knew, especially some of the girls on the street, they knew, but it was my secret. I didn't want to be known on the streets or in prison.
Yeah.
And so I went to counseling, and I remember telling my counselor, and taking away
A
that
mess.
power of the secret.
Yeah.
And then I told it in a small group, and I told it in a larger group. Now I tell it in front of hundreds of people and put it in my book.
But that's such a freeing thing because we sit there and we think our secrets are so. It's funny. I did a coaching call the other day, and the guy's like, "I've literally never said this to anyone," and he shares it with me, and it- the difference is it's very profound to the person. It's a big feeling to the person releasing it. But to the receiver, they're just grateful that you want to share. I mean, if you're in the room of the right people, no one's going to judge you and be like, what a terrible, like, obviously there's some activities where you're like, oh, that's not great. But you sit there and you start to realize that the more you can be your authentic self, the better you're going to show up in the world.
Yeah, but you don't, I just want to make sure people understand. You don't have to get in front of hundreds of people like I do. I say it from the stage.
Yeah,
You don't need to do that. All I'm saying is take away, and there are people you can't trust.
absolutely.
You have a trusted advisor, you have a counselor, they're paid, they're under legal
Yeah,
obligation to remain that secret unless it's in a specific area of child and children. Okay. But you got to take away that power of that secret. At least that's been my, let me put it this way. I say a lot of things and make it seem like it's like everyone. I'm telling you my story, and I'm telling you
yeah,
what worked for me. I believe
yes,
it would work for you, but that's me. And I have this unique, compendium of experience that brought me to this point where I did this and it gave me this result. And I'm talking
yeah,
about positive things now. So the key thing is I dealt with that emotional, but didn't mean that I was cured. And it didn't mean that, ever since that, speaking with the counselor and talking to small
yeah,
groups, large groups, I haven't had setbacks or problems because I definitely had some, especially, well, yeah, definitely in my first 3 or 4 years of getting out of the penitentiary. Because,
yeah.
and this is another thing I talk about a lot. I had scripts in my head,
The stories we tell
scripts,
ourselves.
and I have to play out those scripts because I know the script and I know my place in the script, and I got to hit my mark on the stage. And that
Yeah,
mark might be me hurting you, but that's in the script. You didn't know that was in the script? You should have known it was in the script because you called me that word.
yeah,
Because you called me that word, where I'm from, we all know the script. I'll use one word. There's three words that you couldn't use with me. One starts with an N, one starts with a B, and the other one I can say is punk. You can't call someone in the penitentiary a punk, okay, or on the streets. These are the
yeah,
communities that I revolved around because it's a code word. And what that code word is very simply is that you are weak. Therefore, you're either going to fight me or you're going to give me your possessions, your commissary, you're going to clean my cell, or you're going to provide services to me. That's what that means. And so I have a script. So when I get out of prison and I'm clean and sober for 6 years, somebody calls me a B, they didn't know they didn't know that play.
yeah,
They're in a different world. But I'm writing, so my next book is on respect and disrespect. I'm writing with
yeah,
a wonderful gentleman named Dr. Will Moreland. But we talk about that in the boardroom, we talk about that in the corporate room, we talk about that in the family. I don't know your background, but we had a thing. You always respected your grandmother, or what we
yes,
call respecting your elders. Why? And what does that mean? Respect is acknowledgement of a person's position or its significance within a community.
yes,
The significance of your grandmother is she gave birth to your mother or your father, which then adopted you or gave birth to you or brought
yeah,
you into this world. She has survived 60, 70, 80 years raising, probably in a much tougher environment.
yeah,
So we're going to acknowledge her position as the
absolutely.
matriarch of this family. That's what that means. I just use the family. I can use it in the corporate. I can use it on the streets. I can use it in the penitentiary and tell you what respect and disrespect is. We're writing a whole book on it. It's going to be phenomenal.
I'm looking forward to it. But it's important for us to realize that
Mhm.
words have limitations, and without having true definitions here, then we don't know what certain words mean. So I appreciate you breaking that down.
Words, that's interesting. Words have limitations. So what are words? So I go to the basic. Words
Yeah.
are a vibration of your vocal cords.
Yeah.
If I called you a punk in Brazil jungle in the Yanomamo tribe, you'd look at me like
Has no
I
meaning.
don't get
Yeah.
what is that? You see what I'm saying? It's always situational to a community.
Yes.
And in these communities, so we used to call it punk music. Yeah, you can call it punk music, okay? That's
Yeah.
the type
No,
of music. Johnny
absolutely.
Lennon, Sex Pistols, I got you. The Clash, I'm cool with that. Okay, post-punk, Gang of Four, Bush Tetras, whatever. I'm understanding of that. But in these communities, these are words that are trigger words. And what they mean, again, is instantaneously that individual that's a part of the community reacts.
Yeah.
We don't act, we react because
Yes.
we already know what the script is because we've been trained that this is
Yeah.
the script. Okay. So anyway, it took me 2 years of work
To
to
undo the scripts.
undo the scripts. And now those words have no power.
I love that.
No power. The only thing, and I've said this a few times, the only thing is you can't threaten my family.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Can't threaten my family. Other than that, you can call me anything you want. I just like,
Because
I'm
we're
going home in
yeah.
my Audi to my $500,000 home, 6-bedroom home in Ecuador on the beach,
Yeah.
my beautiful wife and my grandchildren. My life is beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and I might even just ask, why? Why do you want to call me that?
So
You
that's a
know,
big jump going from the attack mode to the discovery of like, are you okay? From the
yeah,
other side, go asking them kind of, what was this? Are you okay? And for you, Ken, what was the biggest thing that allowed you to become this new version of yourself? Obviously, we've gotten the mental, the emotional.
God, God
Okay,
is
tell us a
one.
little bit.
Yeah, God is one. And it said work on the spiritual. So I had to talk with God, and I believe in God. I pray often, not every day, be honest with you,
Yeah.
but I pray often, and I allow spiritual information to come in. I do pray I pray
Now,
for every meal.
are you following some church or one of the, or is it just your own thing? Because the reason I
It,
say that is because when
yeah,
I talk spirituality with a lot of people, some people are like, spiritualness is when we go to the coffee store and you say hi to everyone there, and that's spiritual. Some people are like, spiritual is when you talk to God. Some people's like, you have to be at church. Some people, so everyone's got their own definition. So I was just curious for you what you meant.
I have it. I go to church irregularly. My wife goes pretty much every weekend. She's Episcopalian,
Okay.
and you know, I see God in the church there, but I'm not a church person.
Yeah.
I I learned very early on I needed an outside entity that would modify my behavior. This is something I'm really big on. In the end, it's about the action.
Yes.
I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. But what I care about is what you do. What I did got me in prison. It's not what I felt. Because if it was what I thought, man, I'd still be in prison. Okay? Or if it's about what I felt over the last 20 years, I'd be in prison for the rest of my life. Okay? And like you said, some people still are in prison. They just don't have bars around themselves. They're imprisoned
Yes.
by their emotions. Okay?
A
By
hundred
that
percent.
hatred. man, there's so much we could talk about. Forgiveness. How do I change? Or let's talk about resentment.
Yeah.
Sincere, to feel, to refeel. A past negative emotion. Okay. My dad shot my mom 6 times, shot her, and then was coming over to shoot me at my job. Went and shot her at her job. It was coming over to shoot me. The gun jammed, threw it out the window, went home and passed out.
Was this
I
was this
had
your
something.
adopted parents?
Yeah, 1986. I'd been out of college for about 2 years before I relapsed, but that's not why I relapsed. Okay, I
Yeah.
told you why I relapsed.
Yeah.
Probably didn't help, but because I had a lot of guilt, a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of anger
Yeah.
towards him. And until I could let go of that anger of people that have hurt me, and I have no resentment towards anyone, no single human being in this world.
Yeah.
And then I also had to forgive me, but
Absolutely.
me didn't come first. I always wanted to say that to people. Oh, I got to learn how to forgive myself. Now, you probably need to learn how to forgive others. You know, I need to make amends to myself. No, you need to make amends to those people who
Yeah.
are innocent that you've hurt.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then I take care of, again, one of the key components of my journey is this. I'm not first. I'm not first. That that was one of the hardest things. One of the hallmarks of addiction, alcoholism, or negative is self. It's all about me. It's all about me. Self-pity, self-hatred, self, whatever.
Yeah.
All about me. And I had to get away it being all about me. That's one of the things that's great about spiritual. So what I did is find a God, and there are things that I do because I ask God, what's the right thing to do? Not the thing that's going to do. Because a lot of times we make decisions based on two things.
Yeah.
What is going to bring me pleasure, or
Yeah.
what is not going to cause me pain?
Yes.
But again, it's about self. Well, I do things that cause me discomfort because they're the right thing to do. They're the thing
Interesting.
that's best for my wife or my family. I'm dealing with stuff right now. It's
Yeah.
not what I want to do. It's not going to give me the most pleasure or limit my pain, but it's the right thing to do. Well, I go to God to find that out. And then I have what is called a vertical alignment, and it helps me there too.
What's the vertical alignment?
Vertical alignment is when you make decisions. What's the hierarchy? It's like a hierarchy of needs, Maslow, but it's a
Yeah.
hierarchy of decision making. So in a vertical alignment, number one is God. So you run
Yeah.
it by God. Number two, by far, is my wife, period. Period. And then there's a space to the kids and grandkids.
And
Okay.
what do you think? You think that helps the relationship?
100.
I asked that just
I
because
mean,
I
look at my
know.
eyes. Does it help the
No,
relationship
no, of
if you put
course.
your wife
No,
first?
no,
Yeah,
I asked
it
that
helps.
because I know a lot of people have kids, and more coming from my generation, where I just got married last year, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
people who they have a kid, and now it's the parents are like, how can we be parents? But then they also forget about the dating, and I feel like it's a real cultural thing where people are
It's
forgetting about their partnerships,
Yeah,
and they're focused.
predominantly. I'll be real frank because been I've known about this for 30 years since the
Of course.
90s when we were taught it, and it's mainly happens with women with
Yeah.
wives. They put the children in front of their husband.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, I'm just being real frank, and people, oh, it's
No, no,
misogyny.
I know that's the
Yeah,
perspective I was
but
talking about. Yeah.
see, this is the beautiful thing about where I'm at today. I don't care if you like me. I would hope you would, because it's
Yeah.
better to like people. but I don't need your affirmation of my worth. I know what
Yes.
I'm worth. You may not agree with everything I say, but
Yeah.
at least I'm going to state the truth,
Yes.
okay? And I'm not going to be wishy-washy about it. And very rarely am I going to keep it inside and not express my opinion. Because again, I used to want everybody to like me. So I had to
Yeah.
put on a different mask or a different face, depending on what
Satisfy
community,
people.
yeah, what community I am in. And now I don't. Other than if I go to an NA meeting, I may use a few different words that I'm
Some
not
of the
going to use on this.
terminology. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because or
Just to it
if I
relates a
go in
lot better.
there, I used to go in and talk to youth offenders. Okay. And I'm talking about level one youth offenders. To be a level one youth offender, at least in Alaska, you had to either murder or rape someone.
Oh wow.
Go in
Okay.
there and talk to you. And they're like 13, 14, 15.
Oh my
This is youth
God.
prison. And I would come in there and they would look at me and they're like, square, square. And I would, because I brought in here to talk to them. I say, hey, let me talk to you. And then I would talk to them at a level that would resonate. You would see people pipe up because I got
Yeah.
some stories and I have
Yeah.
some language because I could use. I asked them, "Is there right I use any language?"
I've
And
seen you have a variation of up, down, all
yeah,
around. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So again, you speak to the community because again, what is my desired result?
Yeah.
My desired result is to have one kid hear me out of the 17 that are in that unit. Because when I come in, 17 of them, he's a square. Okay. I start talking 5 minutes, 10 of them are like listening. And then another, and then in the end, there's always two or three because
I
they're
need
so
it.
invested
Yeah.
in either being cool or they're so angry and they're so broken. That's the term I love to use is broken because I was broken
Yeah.
for a lot of years. And now I've been put
Absolutely.
back together and I've been mended.
I love it. I love it. So, how did you start this becoming Ken writing? How did you start the business? Because when I sit there and think about it, I look at all these, you had to exchange so many values. You had to change the value base so many times for yourself to figure out like what the important thing, what's the right thing, how do we think about this? And obviously, you gave us some of the tips and tricks, but like what was it for you that really allowed you to kind of step into this different area? Because there's
Mhm.
people who are probably sitting in the area of right where you're right when you get out of prison and they're like, I don't even know what to do with my life. And I just view that as like every person who's 21 at their first job, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, so there's a lot of people here can really get a lot of value from this.
So a couple of things. Number one, I grew up with a phenomenal example through my mother, Irene Miller. And I mean, phenomenal example of a beautiful person. And I'm talking about inside and outside. My mom was beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I knew what the correct behavior was.
Okay.
And then I went into the drugs and the alcohol, and it released or allowed to come up to the surface maybe some of the traits I picked up from my father, who was a violent alcoholic, self-pitying violent alcoholic. All right, so I had that, plus I had other examples. So when I get out of prison, I had the 3 years, I did three on the last bit. And when I got out, I still, to this day, I still struggle with this. Not struggle with it, but I think back and I'm like, you're kidding. I got out. I'm supposed to go to the halfway house or what they call the three-quarter way house. I'm on paper, which means I'm on parole. And I'm supposed to show up within a half hour. And it took me 2.5 hours to get there. Why did it take you so long? Because I sat on the corner, or I stood on the corner of 2nd in Washington in Reno, Nevada, outside the Cal Neva casino, deciding which road I was going to go down. After 3 years, all this work. Because the first 2 times I got out, I'm on paper, and I walked down the 4th and Lake and went right back into the mix.
Really?
Now, remember, I'm getting let off 3 blocks from where I got arrested. I'm right in the same hood or area.
You know exactly where the place
What?
is. You've been there a
Come on,
million times. Yeah.
been there a
Okay.
minute. But 3 years later, and I'm struggling. I'm struggling
Yeah.
because I'd already done some things that even to this day I'm not. I'd use someone, and so I get out of penitentiary, and I took advantage of someone, their trust. And this was me with 3 years, but
Yeah.
I still got that prison mentality, that hustler mentality. Anyway, it took me 2.5 hours. I went down there. They were mad because I was late. And then I probably made the best decision in early recovery outside of the penitentiary, other than getting to the halfway house. I called up a gentleman who said he would sponsor me in the anonymous programs.
Yeah.
Call him up. He said, I'll come pick you up. They know me. I'll come pick you up. And he took me to Supers, and I got a double bacon cheeseburger because there's no bacon in the penitentiary.
Oh, okay. So it's
In
been 3 years without
3 years since I
bacon.
tasted bacon. Okay. And I made a decision, another tough one. So we sit down to work the steps. He said, "You want to work the steps?" I said, "Yeah, I'm ready. I've
Yeah.
already worked them in the penitentiary. But I'm working with you, and we're gonna do this." I don't know what to do. And he looked me dead in the eye. He said, "No relationships for a year." And all I heard was no sex for a year. I got my jailhouse swell on. I look good. I smell good. I talk good. And you tell me I can't get with a woman. That's what I heard. He said no relationship, but that's what he meant. Because he knew I needed to work on him. And I looked at him for it may only been 30 seconds, but it felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The brain is trying to, no pleasure. Okay. This can be painful, discomforting. And I looked at him, I said, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. And that was super important. I love telling that story because this is with 3 years. So I get cleaned up on the streets and go through a couple situations. But this is so when I got into business, I became a development director for a soup kitchen, which is a fundraiser, and did very well. Why'd you do so well? As I told people, I've been in sales my whole adult life, legal and illegal, but I've sold it. Okay,
Absolutely.
absolutely, and I'm good.
Yeah.
I This is going to sound crazy. In my estimation, I was the best panhandler in all of Reno, hands down. I had the results.
Yeah.
I know who my target market was.
You understood all the concepts.
I understood. I understood who to ask. I understood how to ask them.
Yeah.
How to ask them. You know what the best way to ask somebody?
What's the best
Hey,
way?
is to look for a 20-year-old white male, college or in their 20s, and say, hey, partner, can I get a couple dollars for a beer? Tell them exactly how you want to get a
Yeah.
beer. Now, what I would do is get that a bunch of times, or they'd give me a 5 or 10, and it was really going to crack cocaine. I didn't say crack. They didn't
Yeah.
give me crack.
Because they
Oh,
wouldn't have
you want a
related on
beer?
it.
Well, at
Yeah.
least you're honest about it.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. Oh, I don't need
I
to
mean,
eat.
this makes a lot more sense.
Oh, I was
I
awesome.
walk down the street around me, and everyone's like, "Hey, a beer," because I do look a little. Yeah, no, I get it. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
And college kids, they were always the best. They're drinking too.
Generous.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I, I I did that, and then this was a tough one because it took me 6 months to go out on my own because I was fear based.
Of
Because
course.
you're making 80,000 a year, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, why don't you become a consultant?" So I did April Fool's Day 2014, started Denali FSP, which is 11 years later is running. It's $1 million company. We do, consulting, coaching, and write grants predominantly for tribal organizations. And
Yeah.
then after that, I started speaking, and that's kenmillerspeaks.com. Then I started writing books, which is becomingkenbook.com.
Yeah.
Then I started a company that works in AI. I have offshore virtual assistants in Ecuador and in the Philippines that are trained in artificial intelligence. And then I have property in Ecuador. So I have 5 different businesses, and
Yeah.
it's a lot, but um,
But that's what you
I
need
like it.
sometimes.
I,
Yeah, that's the good
I
stuff. I'm
like
saying
it.
that's what's needed sometimes. People don't realize they're doing a lot in the other direction because at the same time you were doing a lot before, but it was just very survival based. And now this is very creation based. You know what I mean? It's helping people, it's changing lives, it's impacting people. And you fills your cup and fills up other people's cups. So I just think it's really important.
It is. And and then, I do things on the side. And when I say on the side, my passion outside of God and my wife, or you can say slash family, is mentoring young Black men. And I've been doing that for 15 years because I
Yes.
know what it's like not to have a Black male role model. I know what
Yes.
that's like, or a good one. We got them. But if our role model is the thug or the pimp or the drug dealer, that's
It
not a
doesn't set a
role
good
model.
direction.
That's a death model.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I do that. At one point, I had 52 volunteer commitments last summer. This time last summer, and finally I had to cut it back because I was starting the new business. And so now I mentor 10 men. I do a Black men's book study. We meet every 2 weeks on that one. And I, obviously, do the stuff with the family, which is a big one for me. And then anytime people want to call. And then I write book, I've been writing. I got 3 more books this year.
Again, you got a lot going on, but it's all positive. And I
It
think that's
is.
a good thing. And I think that's important because people don't realize that like it's okay to do a lot. It's okay to have a big impact. It's okay to be impactful. And the I know we're kind of winding down, but the
Yeah.
final one towards the end is what I'm curious about is like what caused you to realize that like you were able to do more? You know what I mean? Most of us have this constraint mentality, you know what I mean? Like
That's an interesting question. I'm going to tell you why. One of the biggest things, and I want especially all people in the business world to hear this. One of the most difficult things for me was to say no. How did you end up with 52 volunteer commitments? I was on 23 boards and I had 29 men that I had scheduled that I met with. Okay. Because I wouldn't say no.
yes.
It was, and so, and the reason I bring this up, it was so hard in the beginning that I went through like withdrawals because I felt I had let people down.
Yeah.
But when I went to get off boards to submit my resignation, people who knew me were so happy for me because I explained why. And they don't know I'm on the 22 other boards, committees, subcommittees, task forces, and ad hoc groups. They don't know that I'm
Yeah.
volunteering or leading. And they were like, because they knew it would open up for me to do other things. And the other things, I've been able to write this book. Book came out in May.
Yeah.
Took me 3 years.
Yeah.
Why did it take you so long? It was different reasons, but 3 years. I might have a book done by August 31st.
Yeah.
But my next book is going to take me 2 months. I
Because you
expect to
have
be
the
able to write a
space.
book in less than a week. Really, my goal is to write a book in 2 days. I'm talking about 100 pages at least in 2 days.
Oh my God.
Okay. But so let's just go back. So the key, I believe, in the end, it's still selfish. In the end, it is selfish. I
Yeah.
want to feel good, but predominantly I want to feel good about Ken. I want to become
Yes.
Ken. That's who I
Yes.
am today. This is what I tell people. What's my tagline? I am a kind and gentle man. That's who I am. I'm a kind and gentle man. I give, and I give. I'm cool with that. That's cool. Money, time, listening to people, being empathetic for free. Do all this for
Yeah.
free. I anyway, I do a lot. Okay. In the end, it probably is. You could say it's for selfish reasons. I want to feel good about Ken. I know what it's like to not like Ken, and I
Yeah.
want to like me. And so
Yeah.
I do a lot of likable things today.
Yeah.
And the byproduct is I help a lot of people. That's the
Yeah.
byproduct. But in the end, I have to feel comfortable with me. I have a finite amount of time on this,
Yes.
and I think I got maybe 20 years left. Okay.
Yeah.
Black men don't live that long. Okay. My father died at 56. All of my uncles, I'm talking about on the biological side, died before they were 56. My dad
Oh
was
wow.
out of five. He was the one that lived the longest. Almost all of them died in their 40s. One was
Wow.
murdered. Okay. But I just know that. And, I want my dash to mean something.
Yes.
What's my legacy? On a tombstone, you got a birth date, you got a death date, and in between is a dash. What does that dash represent? And I got a book, but I mean, I just want to hope that I've touched people in a positive way because I know I've touched people in a negative way. And my fervent desire is that they're beyond that. And this is just now a memory, maybe not a positive one, but just a memory. And they don't hold that. I made amends to everybody I could find. I made amends to everyone that I was legally allowed to make amends to. Because as
Yeah.
victims, I can't legally communicate with them. Cool. I'm cool with that. I've made amends internally, knowing what that situation is. And I've said amends, to a spirit in a spiritual way.
But yeah,
So
it's so important for us to realize that, and I think your frame where it's what's my legacy? Where am I looking? Where can I give back? Where can I help? People are so focused on them and they're not so focused on that we're all together in this. And I think that's awesome. Where can people
let
learn?
me say one more thing on this.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it before I say it. I'm extraordinary. I'm extraordinary. I'm extraordinary. I
Yeah.
am unique. I'm a child of God, and I have value. And each and every person in listening to this is extraordinary.
Yes.
You are unique. You have value. I've done this, and I'm going to do it again. If you want to communicate with me, Ken Miller 84, LinkedIn, or Ken at denalifsp.com, and I answer. I answer. I will answer you. I don't care who you are, good, bad,
Yeah.
or indifferent. If this has resonated with you, reach out. Reach out to Jordan. I mean, what a wonderful opportunity we have through podcast. I didn't have this growing up. And I listened to a lot of podcasts and a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I've heard some extraordinary things that have resonated, vibrated, resonated with me in a positive way. And if it's
Yes.
negative, I'll change the channel. I don't need negative. I just don't need it.
Absolutely. Ken, you're awesome. Thank you
So
so much, man. Really appreciate it.
thank you.